Kia ora te whānau. Welcome to day 7 of our devotional journey through the book of Acts. But before we dive into the text today, why don't we begin with prayer? Would you pray with me? We are mostly the kind of people who do well and who mean well. We know how to do what must be done. We get up and do it. We have a sense of our worth and our capacity to perform. We care for our children and our futures and our good schools, and after good schools, some college and learning and degree and profession and security. We sit in and enjoy our responsible entitlement that we have surely earned. But along with success and well-being, we wish our children happy. So we protect and extend adolescence. We build barriers against ugliness and failure, and struggle with too much work and stress. We have and treasure all the signs of our entitlement, all the props of affluence, all the symbols of well-being. How peculiar that we have it all and worry about immigrants who might acquire some small part of our legacy. In this moment of candor before you, we step into that gap in our life between our assured entitlement and threat of immigrants, between our indulgence of our children and the violence that mostly lacks shame. Move us by your hovering that we may come to ourselves, that we may notice the ways in which we are far from home, that we may reckon how we have betrayed ourselves for quick fixes. Give us the capacity to return to you, to be welcomed home, to be forgiven, to be invited to dance and then to a fatted calf, and to receive it all as a gift from you. As people of entitlement and violence, we converge with immigrants. We learn together how deeply in need we are. Receive us and move us that we may accept your welcome to newness. Return us to innocence, even while we are frightened. Exhibit to us your great simplicity among our complex habits. Call us at last by our right names, because we are yours. Amen. With that, we turn to today's passage, which is Acts chapter 2, verses 14 through 21. There it says this. Then Peter stood up with the 11, raised his voice and addressed the crowd. Fellow Jews, and all of you who live in Jerusalem, let me explain this to you. Listen carefully to what I say. These people are not drunk as you suppose. It is only 9 a.m. No, this is what was spoken about by the prophet Joel. In the last days, God says, I will pour out my spirit on all people. Your sons and daughters will prophesy, your young men will see visions, your old men will dream dreams. Even on my servants, both men and women, I will pour out my spirit in those days, and they will prophesy. I will show wonders in the heavens above, and signs on the earth below. Blood and fire and billows of smoke. The sun will be turned to darkness and the moon to blood before the coming of the great and glorious day of the Lord. And everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. During the time of Jesus, the Jewish people lived with an intense expectation because they looked to the Old Testament, particularly to a prophecy in Daniel that pointed to when the last days would arrive. There it has a prophecy that says that 490 days after the Israelite people went into Babylonian exile would the last days arrive, and depending on how they calculated it, the first century either sat somewhere between 400 and 500 years since that date. So the Messiah, well, he could arrive at any point to usher in this new age. So they were all watching and waiting to see when and where and how this would all come to pass. This is why Peter responds to the claims of day drinking by pointing to the prophecy in the book of Joel. Because everyone knew that prophecy. They were all eagerly expecting its fulfillment. Yes, Peter says, the day you were expecting has arrived, though it has not arrived as you expected. For the arrival of this new age, it's bypassed the temple and the rabbinical schools. It does not involve the priests or your famed religious teachers. Instead, it has arrived in an ordinary upper room and spilled out onto the streets, inviting the ordinary, everyday person to participate in this new thing, calling out to them in whatever language it is that they speak. Here, the new thing that God is doing, He has bypassed all political and religious structures, no longer just filling the unique few with His Spirit, but instead pouring it out on all people, sons and daughters, young and old, men and women. All will be invited to participate in the same way that the heroes of old did. Invited to speak God's words on His behalf as prophets to each other and to the world. Did you know that this inclusion of everyday people into this new, exciting, dynamic work of God, well, that hasn't stopped? Did you know that God entrusts His voice to you to speak His words on His behalf, His words of light and life that enlargen the heart and enliven the soul? Did you know that you're invited to this? Well, you are. So let me encourage you to find some time to go to God in prayer and ask Him a simple question. What do you want me to say, and who do you want me to say it to? And then take what comes, if that's something that is encouraging and life-giving, and give it a go. Have a call someone up and say, I was just praying and I've just felt led to share this with you. Give it a go. Share God's words with others. And then drop me a comment to let me know how it goes. Stay home. Stay safe. And see you on the live stream at 10 a.m. God bless.